Brought to you by Infineon. Hi, and welcome to the Mobile Tech Podcast. I'm your host, Miriam Joire, and today is Thursday, October 16th, 2025, and I'm here at the Computer History Museum with Infineon for OktoberTech. It is their big yearly tech conference, and I've got Mark Finn of Infineon here with me. Mark, thanks for being on the show.
Lovely to meet you.
Absolutely. So Adrian kind of walked us through some of the technologies and things that were going to be announced at OktoberTech on the podcast about a month ago.
Yep.
And what I'm wondering is if you can also give us an idea of some of the specific demos that I'm about to see today here.
Sure. One of the wonderful things about OktoberTech is you can get there, you can touch the demos. They haven't really been sanitized. You go talk to the engineers themselves.
Right.
You touch, you ask. If you want to get into C code, you can get into C code.
Exactly.
So a few examples, maybe we have a nice demo on cutting weight in cars.
Yes.
So we
ECU
consolidate.
consolidation.
Exactly, ECU, so software-defined vehicles, fewer ECUs, and which, of course, weight is a big deal for cars right now. So
cost.
Cutting that back.
Simplicity, a whole
Yes.
bunch of things. I think, my audience is quite familiar with SDVs and how we've been slowly the industry moving from domain to zonal.
Right.
But you're providing some active solutions for Ethernet in the car here at OktoberTech, specifically in that area, correct?
Right, exactly. So if you want to go see it, touch it, we've got a pretty comprehensive version with Brian Morrison upstairs, and you can...
And Brian will be interviewed shortly with a demo, so stay tuned for that. What else do we have that stands out? I believe that you have a humanoid robot head. It sounds a little weird, right?
Yes.
But it's actually not as scary as it sounds.
So if you've been to the museum before, you may have met Amaka, who's
Yes.
a humanoid robot. Infineon can enable a lot of the different parts of that. So the humanoid robot head, sight or hearing
So
or
sensors
tracking.
is an area that Infineon is very strong, like radar sensors, MEMS microphones, all these other things.
Correct.
But also motor controllers that allow you
Yes.
and sensors for detecting position, magnetic sensors, all that. And then, of course, you guys have a whole connectivity suite and a whole compute suite, microcontrollers, edge compute. That's actually another area that I think is really cool. The head, by the way, from what I gather, and I'm going to show you a demo hopefully, is using the 60 gigahertz sensor, the radar,
Correct.
to track you, and voice to track you, and a bunch of, it's kind of combining all this data to track
Right.
you, and it's using the Edge microcontroller that you have, right? Edge AI.
It's fun to use PSOC Edge.
PSOC.
And if you come into a room with 400 people in it, it's fun to see it operate too, even under those conditions.
Fantastic. So, okay, great. PSOC Edge, let's talk about that, because I think this is something that, a lot of the industry is moving towards right now, Edge AI.
Right.
And I think is very critical because, less latency, you don't have to worry about connectivity issues.
Correct.
So for things like wearable devices, smart glasses, smart watches, whatever, it really enables putting a really small, very, very curated LLM right on the device at this kind of microcontroller, super efficient, low power use cases, right?
Yes, exactly.
So I think you have a couple of demos up there that are pretty cool that I'm going to see. Can you tell us
We
about
have some
those?
good face recognition. You can see maybe if you want to see a doorbell with really low power, if you want to register your face on camera, register with no internet, just register a few times and it's working.
And this is, to be clear, not using a dot projector, infrared solution like the iPhone does for Face ID. This
Correct.
is just a dumb VGA camera at that level, almost super low power, and the PSOC Edge does the computing to actually authenticate you and make sure it's you, not just like you can fake it with a photo kind of you, but
True.
really you, correct?
It's really features that you're spending a lot of money on now with a lot of power today with much less cost and maybe a coin cell battery.
But another big application, I think, for Edge AI is voice, right? So
Yes.
not just voice recognition, we've been doing that for years, but
Yes.
like actually conversational, right? Like being
Correct.
able to talk to a very minimalistic AI agent that's baked right in, correct?
Right, and that's, yes, all local, no cloud involved. You get to do what you need to do very locally and, as you said, low latency, which is super important. If we have to wait 2 seconds to communicate with each other, it gets frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, the last thing is you touched on it is the 60 gigahertz radar. Again, this is nothing new. You showed it last year, but it's the big thing now is the power consumption is going down, and you can track you can use like multiple if you want to like have triangulation. It's really, really cool. And I believe you have a demo up there, as you mentioned, something about like a doorbell.
Right.
Like imagine a doorbell that right now you have to recharge your doorbell from time to time unless it's wired. But if it's not wired, like, this could last 2 years or something simply because the camera is not always running. You got the radar doing all the hard work, correct? Because that's what
ultra low power. So the radar will pick out when somebody's there. Maybe even some recognition with Edge AI if you want to do that. Combine the two. And yes, changing your battery every 2 years, or imagine something that's in a remote location where it's super painful to drive up there and just change a battery.
Yeah, right.
No one wants to be that person.
No. And then you can also, if you put that PSOC Edge microcontroller in there, you could also have a MEMS microphone. You guys make those. So like if sound happens, right, the camera can start up. So you got multimodal kind of like triggers for the camera, for the doorbell.
We love saving energy.
I know, and that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand, and that's why I've been really happy to partner with Infineon for years, is that you make semiconductors that go from anything from Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, microcontrollers, things that people will use in their personal tech that I cover, but you also go way beyond that. All the automotive stuff you do, the robot stuff you do, all the industrial power stuff, data center power management, all this crazy stuff that we all rely on for our personal tech. And so that's kind of like why I like partnering with you. Thanks so much, Mark.
You're very welcome. I hope you enjoy seeing them all.
I'll check them out. So folks, stay tuned for some demos. And after the demos, we'll go to regular programming and cover all the tech of the week. Hi, Brian. What are you showing here at Infineon OktoberTech?
So what we're showing here is the shift from legacy automotive architecture to the next gen.
Lots of wires, lots of complexity, CAN buses and Ethernet all over the place. And now you're trying to make this into like a zonal architecture that's much more streamlined, Ethernet everywhere, super high speed, and less wires for less weight,
less labor cost to put together these wiring harnesses.
Cheaper parts, etc.
Exactly, that's correct.
So how does Infineon do this in practice here in this demo?
Well, for the demo, we've emulated a vehicle architecture like this. As a tier 2 supplier, we're just showing our capabilities with our Oryx as a zone controller that's able to route across the different topologies using a hardware accelerator built into the MCU itself running in the background.
So you have a little demo for us here to show what happens when a network in a car is congested, where the messages can't be sent between different parts of the car, and then how you solve this, and then as well how redundancy is implemented.
Correct.
Can you show us this quick demo?
Sure. One of the many demos we're showing here is time-sensitive networking. So an example where I have two end nodes, this end node here and this end node, but they're not in sync because we're loading the bus.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff going on. Maybe ADAS is doing something right now and it's like needing all the cameras to work, and it's a nightmare. And so these two power windows are not being wound properly because they're barely getting the data they need.
Exactly.
So how do you fix that?
So we implement a credit-based shaper with this switch here. And when that happens, then they become synchronized.
Oh, look at that.
With a pattern.
Yeah, I see that. That's close.
That's close. And so then we also show what happens if we lose one of the network connections, the high-speed Ethernet coming into the zone controller.
Bang.
And then at this point, zone controller 2 detects the network loss and automatically reroutes to control this end node here.
Fantastic. So that's one of the things that's going to simplify cars, make them more affordable, lighter, more efficient, and generally allow us to do some much more sophisticated applications.
Certainly the target, yes.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for the demo. Angel, tell us what you're demoing here. You've got a humanoid head.
Exactly here. So we have a integration story here, how different Infineon components can be combined together to deploy it on a humanoid use case. So in this case, so we have 3 of the 60 gigahertz radars capable of detecting objects on chip. Then we have also time of flight sensors for streaming out the image. In this case, the head is watching.
Yeah, well, that's what we're seeing down here on the screen, right?
Exactly. You have RGB, infrared, depth of field as well. So we do have also a PSOC Edge reading out the microphone data to later detect angle of arrival. We do have also the PSOC control, which is a...
Oh, you're using PSOC Edge for this?
The PSOC Edge, yes, for the microphones, and of course the digital microphones from Infineon.
Right.
We also have a magnetic sensor for detecting the head's position, and we have the piece of control, as mentioned, to control the motor, basically.
Of course. So using a whole bunch of different Infineon
exactly,
tech.
and all of this is Infineon components.
This is just really showing how a humanoid head can track a human. So can we do that demo right now? Can you show us?
Sure. Right now, it's the closest object moving. So if you move and I stay static, it will follow you. If I move, then it will follow me.
It's tracking you, yeah. Fantastic.
So in this case,
now, if I start moving and I show my face, it's going to track me, right?
Exactly.
Oh, look at that. Oh, it's tracking you now.
What you see in the plot, there are a lot of objects being tracked. This is what showing the capabilities of the CMOS radars.
Oh, cool.
It's detecting a lot of bunch of objects in different distances. But for the sake of the demo, we're just simply moving towards the closest one.
Very
so just
cool.
like this, think about not only humanoid use case, you can do it for a simple vacuum cleaner and different types of robotics.
Thanks for the demo. I appreciate it. Ryan, what are you demoing at this station?
Yeah, I'm showing PSOC Edge, which is a microcontroller capable of graphics and AI-powered vision and voice in a disconnected environment. No need for a network.
So you can run small machine learning models on this microcontroller right at the edge without connectivity of any kind. So you have two demos here. The first one over here is facial recognition. And to be clear, facial recognition has been done many times before on our phones, but that's usually using extra hardware like a dot projector infrared, you know. So this is using a standard webcam in this case, but you could use like a super cheap VGA camera for this.
That's right. You can use a simple camera, and also the compute hardware is because it's a microcontroller.
Very efficient.
Very efficient, yes.
So show us how this works. So there you are facing the camera, and
if we both go in it, if you want to, and then it shows you as user unknown. So it can tell the difference between me and you.
And then if you step out, it's just unknown, and then user 2 right there.
Yep.
So Ryan, what's the second demo here?
Yeah, so the second demo is AI-powered voice control.
So you have a small ML model in here that can do basically authentication by a voice, correct?
Yep, and also it can understand commands. I can use my voice, so I can say, OK, vector, next app.
And
OK, vector,
switch.
previous app.
So it actually understands different phrases.
Right, yes, exactly.
So could this be an always-on thing in the background with low power consumption then?
It's excellent for low power because you can bring it all the way down very like sub-milliwatt, have it go to sleep for a long period of time and then wake up to the wake command.
Tell me the kind of applications you can envision for like consumer tech, for example.
Yeah, like smart glasses. We've seen a lot of things with advanced kids' toys, or really interesting kids' toys. Wearables, even all the way to appliances that even combine the two, right? You walk up toward your coffee maker, it sees who you are.
It sees what kind of coffee you like.
Yeah, and maybe even asks you, do you want this or that?
You're speaking my language, Ryan. I love coffee, so this is fantastic. Well, thanks so much for the demo. Really appreciate it. Chris, what are you going to demo for us today?
We are showcasing our new extensive 60 GHz CMOS radar, which is able to run in ultra low power mode, although running autonomously.
So you have a triangle here, which is the radar detection zone, and you have a video doorbell right here. What happens if you step in the area here?
Yeah, right.
All right.
It will directly to power
from
and
black and white to
show
color,
the detections.
Right? The idea here is that it enables a doorbell manufacturer to save energy, correct? Like the power consumption is much reduced.
Yeah, that's right. So it has its own power management unit as well as an integrated hardware accelerator for processing and a bootloader. So it can run completely autonomous, just starting up from time to time and sending. And once there's presence detection, it will change the configuration to run in a steady mode and detect people walking there.
So basically you could use this as a standalone device for as simple as there's somebody in the shot, there's nobody in the shot. But you could even get more sophisticated if you want, right? By adjusting parameters like the distance and the angle and also detecting shapes perhaps.
That's right. So it's pretty much everything is configurable at this device. So you can limit the field of view, you can exclude some range angle zones, and you can also do some specific thresholding via register configuration.
So Chris, this is the second demo of the 60 gigahertz radar. Tell us a little bit about this demo.
Yeah, right. Here we are showing our indoor presence sensing and people tracking solution. So it's a software stack running on an PSOC 6. So basically in Cortex M4 with 256 kilobyte of memory.
So this sensor is no longer standalone. You have to have a microcontroller for this, which is the Cortex. And so I see behind you there's a screen that shows both of us as detected by the radar. I'm the further back one, and then you're the closer one, because the sensor's right there. So what would this be used for?
So basically it's used for indoor applications where you want to have some advanced features. So for example, if you want to steer the airflow inside a room, you can track people where they are standing and then steer the airflow around them, not to blow them into the neck.
Or detect how many people are in a room, perhaps?
That's right, that's also possible.
Okay. And so you're looking at basically like home automation, security, that kind of application then?
Yeah, correct. So the focus of this application is mainly smart home, smart building applications.
Fantastic. That's great. Thanks for showing us this. And folks, we're back with John Velasco of Tom's Guide. Hey, John, how you doing?
Hey, Miriam. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure to have you. You know, I haven't had you on for quite a while. And one of the things that both of us have been doing since, you know, the last time I had you on is start covering EVs. And you know, not just EVs, cars in general. You're doing car content for Tom's Guide. I'm actually writing for you. You're my editor. It's kind of cool. But I want to kind of talk about cars because Infineon is our sponsor this week, and they do a ton of semiconductors for cars, especially, you know, EVs, like a lot of stuff like powertrain stuff, you know, motor controller chips and all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of wondering what your thoughts are on the state of cars and EVs and car tech in general. Like, do you have things that stand out that you really like, the trends that you think are great? Do you think there's some cars that really stand out that make you smile every time you drive them? Tell me what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, you know, when I first started, I think the big thing that stood out for me was just how terrible a lot of them were as far as efficiency goes. And, you know, for people who don't drive EVs, that's basically your fuel economy, your average fuel economy. And then in the last 6 months, it just seems like every EV that I tested just kept on getting better and better. And it's not just for the smaller subcompact vehicles like a Kona, but I started to see like 3-row SUVs getting 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour. And that's the trend that I've been seeing so far this year. And it's nice because you're not sacrificing, you know, the storage, the space, the comforts by going with a larger EV. You still have that great range. And that's honestly the biggest thing I'm happy to see.
I agree with you. I'm currently driving the EV9 for the third time in 2 years, you know.
I'm jealous.
And you know, it's not at all what I would buy. Like, it's way too much car for me. But if you're a person that needs space and or has a larger family or want to carry more people, up to 7 here. Although the model I have is the luxury model, so it only has 2 captain's chairs in the middle row, so it's like 6 seaters. I mean, it's incredible. I was amazed again. I was amazed with the efficiency like you. Now, the one I have is a refresh. It doesn't look cosmetically different, but it does have the NACS port, which originally wasn't on there. And I think they've updated the battery maybe.
Just like the i9, yep.
Yeah, like all of the eGMP cars, which, by the way, I this is going to be a recurring thing on this podcast, at least for me, and I don't know what your thoughts are, but the eGMP cars, the Koreans, Hyundai Group in general, which also owns Genesis and Kia, is killing it in EVs. I think it's possibly the best platform outside of China, Tesla, Rivian, Lucid. But Tesla, Rivian, Lucid, you know, Tesla, of course, there's Elon. Nobody wants anything to do with that. And if you do, I don't know. I don't understand. Like, I was a longtime Tesla owner, and my lease expired last summer, like a year and a bit ago. And as much as I love their cars and I love the tech, I just cannot support that company, and especially because of Elon. So for me, it's kind of like, you know, they're off the picking chart. They're off of the options. But if I look at these other cars, Rivian, Lucid, the prices are like, you know, eGMP starts at like what, 40 something, right?
A lot more affordable,
yeah. And so they're killing it. I think that they have the best EV platform short of the Chinese and the startups. And and you know, you see that because I wrote an article actually for our sister site, you know, Tech Radar US, and it was about how mid-cycle refreshes don't matter anymore in the EV world. You know, it used to be in the gas world, you had a car, and then every 4 or 5 years they make a new version of it. But in the middle there somewhere, they do a refresh, and it's generally like the front fascia, rear fascia lights, some cosmetic upgrades, maybe some small interior tweaks. Very rarely do you get like a new engine or transmission.
Yep.
But on EVs, it's like constant. They can't even do that. Every year they have to do something because the technology moves so fast, right?
Yep.
And I think that's what I'm seeing in this EV9. But okay, I mean, I've driven it one passenger, right? Not much cargo in it. But I've been driving it on freeways, and it's not the most aerodynamic thing. I mean, it's big, it's tall, it's an SUV.
Yep.
It does look squarish, kind of boxy, but they've actually done some really good job with the aero on this. But I was getting 3.5, something like that, at like a nice, comfortable 70 miles an hour, and I was like, wow, pretty impressive. So I feel the same way. Efficiency is one thing. I also think that infotainment and general software experience is improving rapidly. Finally, I mean, that's as a long-time Tesla owner, that's what is my biggest gripe in any car today. It's like, why can't you just give us an iPad? Like, that's what Tesla did. That's what the Chinese are doing. Like, you look at the Xiaomi user interface in the videos. I've never played with it in person. I'd love to, but like, you look at it and it's like, they're not making it complicated. They're not adding all kinds of weird customization and Chrome. You don't have 12 menu layers to go to down the settings. Like, it's like an iPad. Why can't you everybody make an iPad?
It kind of reminds me of the stuff that Volvo's doing with their EVs. Very minimalist, like the interface in that.
But it's China again, right?
Yeah, and honestly, the first time I sat in there and I looked at it, I'm like, wow, only one screen here. I'm not sure how this is going to work. But the way it operated, how easy it was, how fluid, it just made me realize, wow, why is everyone else like still using interfaces from airplanes, from 10 years ago with their menu-based driven systems? And I'm like, this is just so clean. And I think it's an issue. And just being able to have something easy to use like that, makes it much better.
Yeah, and I think what bugs me the most, you talk about the EX30, which is one of my favorite EVs I've driven this year. Absolutely brilliant EV. The problem with it is software bugs, and this is my other issue, right? Like, one of the things Tesla and Rivian does really well, Lucid not so much, they're still working on it, but it's like the concept of, like what we have with our iPhones and Galaxies and Pixels and all the other phones. We get software updates every month. Like security updates, bug fixes, maybe not every month, but multiple times a year, right?
Yeah.
And Tesla does it once a month. You get something no matter what. Like, it might just be one bug fix, but it's like in the company, it's institutional that they're going to make a software update every month. And Rivian is exactly the same. And I think this is where the traditional car makers, and I want to praise the Koreans too much, because even though the EGMP platform is amazing, their software updates, not so often, right?
Yeah.
You pretty much have to buy a new car to get some of the software updates. And I know that, in the case of EGMP, in the early days, they weren't fully software-defined vehicles. Not everything was over-the-air updatable. Now, the latest versions, I think that the refreshes we've seen for EV6, Ioniq 5, Ioniq 6, the EV9 that I have, and maybe the Ioniq 9, which is a brand new car, those apparently, supposedly, are all fully OTA software updatable. But here's the thing, and this is what vexes me and bugs me. You look at the Chinese EVs, you look at Tesla. Tesla, since 2018, has had a car that is fully software updatable, completely everything down to the final microcontroller in the seat control of your car. Like, how is it that the industry cannot get that done? Because that's what makes the magic happen. Then you can issue software updates, but then will you? And Volvo doesn't, because the number of complaints I'm reading on forums and bugs I experienced both in EX90 and EX30 and Polestar 3 and Polestar 4 are staggering. And it doesn't stop me. Like, I would get these cars because I can live with it. They're not showstopper bugs, at least for me. Yeah. And, I lived in the early days of the Model 3 on Tesla. There were a lot of bugs. But they got fixed. The question is with Volvo, I don't know if they're going to get fixed. It's really hard for me to recommend that car when I love it so much, but I don't know if the issues are going to get addressed, right? Do you find that to be an issue too?
I go through so many EVs. I wish I could just have one for a long period of time to really understand, if those bugs do matter for me. But it's tough. I think about like a lot of the phones, constantly get updates, have to restart. And my worst fear is like, of course you break you break it somehow in the process. But that's something that I guess the developers have to work out.
Yeah, I think honestly that's been worked out. I think is a learning curve, right? Look, I'm not saying this is easy. I want to sympathize with the car manufacturers who still have to come from the old ways of doing things. They're still selling gas cars and have to support cars that have been out for a long time, unlike the new companies, right? Though to be fair, I mean, Tesla has 12-year-old cars out there. It's starting to be a thing for them too. But I want to sympathize. It is not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying you can just snap your finger and all of a sudden get this done. This takes a ton of money investment and a ton of work. And I want to make it clear, this is regardless whether you EV, hybrid, gas, whatever you might be making. The future is clearly a software-defined vehicle. It's clearly something that can be fully updated over the air. And if you're going to do that, and you are going to do that to stay competitive, you need to send software updates every month.
And my question to you is, I'm kind of curious about what your thoughts are about having an outside party taking over the software experience, CarPlay, Android Auto. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, so I don't think they're taking over the experience per se, because it's basically, it's like a virtual machine, right? It's like a screen inside a screen. So you're not really taking anything over. Now, Apple is starting to do that with CarPlay Ultra on Aston Martin. Aston Martin, is letting them access stuff from the car now, like maybe if it's an EV, the state of charge of the battery, stuff like that. And that's going to be that's the challenge. This is more, I mean, I don't like projections because I came from Tesla, right? And if you drove the X30, you saw that you just log in with your Google account and you're good to go. Like you don't really need, and a lot of people are like, well, what about my messaging and all my like other stuff that's like on my phone? And I'm like, have you ever actually owned a Tesla? Because the Tesla app on your phone becomes a conduit between all these apps on your phone and the interface in the car. It's not projection. It's just like the glue. I don't know how to explain it, but I get my calendar stuff I was getting my calendar stuff on my Tesla. I was getting my messages and I could respond and everything was there. I could send my Google Map history to the car. Like I had YouTube Music on the car. And that's my service. There was Spotify, there's Apple Music as well as an option. The other thing that, nobody's doing for some reason, and I think this is a licensing cost issue at this point, but nobody has Netflix in their cars.
Oh, of course. You got to buy a third party accessory.
Why would you need that? But my point is, why we have a computer there with a big screen. When you're charging, I love watching videos while I'm charging, especially if I'm doing a road trip. It doesn't take that long. First of all, charging times have decreased drastically in
it's pretty much
8-9 years since I've been driving EVs, number one. Number two, if you are on a road trip, sometimes, it takes 5 minutes to go to the bathroom, but you're not hungry, but you have to charge. And so that's when I fire up Netflix and I fire something up, but I don't want to project it. I want to have it in the screen. So on my phone, I can do something else on my phone. My phone doesn't overheat in my hand. And you wrote a really cool article, I'll link to it, about how you're kind of on the side of the wired CarPlay and Android Auto because it doesn't kill your battery. And that's the other thing. A lot of people experience battery life issues on their devices in the US. And that's because they're using projection wirelessly. Their batteries are getting hammered every day.
Latency,
and on top of that, we're going to talk about this. They don't have silicon carbon batteries on these phones that are sold in the US, except the OnePlus 13. So that means that if you have a Samsung phone, a Google phone, an Apple of some kind, any kind of, even the latest models, you're getting shitty battery life, right? To start with, compared to the Chinese, which have 2-3 days of battery life. And that means, on top of that, you're hammering that battery with CarPlay, and it's not the solution. And that's and having to plug in. Come on, I understand your perspective. I think that you're right. But then, how good is it for your phone to be plugged in all the time? Not all the phones have the limiter, right? That stops at 80%, like the iPhone and the Pixels do. And you have to turn that on if you turn it on. This goes to a whole thing about. We're going to talk about smartphones later, but it goes back to the whole thing around. if you have a larger battery, and this is why, like, I don't understand why Apple, Samsung, and Google don't want to do silicon carbon yet. Like, I know it's coming. It's like Chinese EVs, inevitable. They're going to eventually have to go there.
Yeah.
But why are they so slow adopting it? I don't understand. Because here's the thing: when you can run your phone for 2 or 3 days on a charge because your battery is 7,500 milliamp hour, we're going to see some flagships are coming.
That's a crazy number.
You no longer have to charge it every night. Your entire mind, it's like, how you switched from the mindset of driving a gas car to the mindset of driving an electric car. It becomes a completely different mindset. You no longer plug your phone in at night. You plug in your phone opportunistically, because also all these phones have super fast charging. So if you can, while you're showering, go from, like last night, after 2 days, you're at 30%. After 2 days, you're at 30%. You plug it in the morning for shower for 10 minutes, and you're now at 70%.
Yes.
You're good for the day. You don't have to worry about a thing. It's that, and here's the best one, but this is the killer app here, John. You're not doing a full cycle on the battery charge.
Yeah.
Think about that. So now your battery is happy. Even better, all these Chinese phones let you set the battery limit to 80%, 90%. Yep. So now every time you plug in, even if you leave plugged in all day long, it's never going to charge to 100.
Yeah.
You now have that buffer.
You
know how the EVs, some of them have like, effective battery capacity versus actual battery, so they leave a little buffer at the bottom and the top. Like now these phones can do that. Whereas your iPhone, it needs to go from 0 to 100 because it has so little battery to start with. And I don't want to criticize the new iPhones. The 17 Pro Max in particular is incredibly great in terms of battery for what it is. But compared to what's coming from China, it's night and day. And I think this is, to me, the biggest problem right now with charging and the experience. And that's why, going back to infotainment, I think that eventually we're not going to care if we watch videos on our cars while we're charging. But right now it's a nice perk to have. And I borrowed a Rivian for 3 weeks almost for CES last year, because after CES, my birthday is during CES every year. And so we always go out to like the desert and camp and stuff for my birthday, and go to like Palm Springs and chill out by the pool kind of thing. So I wrote an article for Tech Radar that was like, I went camping on R1S, and this is my experience camping. Like how much battery did I use? Was it noisy? Did it work? Was I cold? Was I warm? We watched some stuff on the big screen, all that. So you should read it. It's cool. But the point is that I had the car for 3 weeks. Get this, John. I got 2 software updates.
Ooh, 2 weeks?
In 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what I'm talking about, right? Also, the car does not have Netflix. And again, this is a licensing issue. They have apps. They could have a Netflix app.
Yeah.
But when we were charging, sometimes we just, we didn't have to eat. There was no shopping to do because no Target or something nearby. And we were like, okay, we've peed in 5 minutes. We still have 20 minutes to go. And so it has Chromecast. The screen has Chromecast. Yeah. So you're going to say it's projection, but look, that's a lot better than Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You can send whatever you want to it, right? And only when the car is stopped. Like, I'm not suggesting we watch videos while we're driving. Right?
Well, some cars you can.
Like, when you have a computer in the middle of your car running your infotainment system, you could do anything. And I don't understand why we're limiting ourselves to CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, there are some benefits here. The experience is consistent across all cars, right? No matter what car you have, it's going to be the same thing. You're going to always feel the same. And that's kind of cool. But at the same time, I don't want that. Like, I want to experience the car the way the manufacturer wants me, but I also don't want it to be too complicated. Mercedes, BMW, Audi, like, give me something I think, again, EGMP, the Koreans, and it's not just EGMP because their gas and hybrid cars have it too. This dual screen interface, it's relatively straightforward. It feels like Android. It feels a little old school sometimes to use, but at the same time, I feel it's really solid. And it does the basics and it does it well. And in the latest generations, I feel it does it fast enough, like it's responsive enough now. And I think that's what we need. But then you need a solid app. And that's the other thing. Nobody makes an app as good as, even Rivian's app is not quite as good as Tesla's. Like, nobody makes an app that's good enough.
Yeah.
Like, you've used the GM apps. It literally takes, if I'm at my place and I'm walking a block to the car that's parked away in another block near my house, and I turn climate on when I leave the house, by the time I get to the car, it's not on yet. And I've walked 3 minutes.
Yeah.
My Tesla was literally 20 seconds before the car would respond. Like, It didn't matter. I would have the climate on by the time I got there, right? Like, how is it that they can't figure this out? You're going to say, well, they're not software companies. Well, they got to get on board here. Like, again, we're not 2 years into Tesla. We're 12 years into doing this stuff, okay? And that's my biggest gripe right now. The technology is behind. Same thing with his EV9. I love it. It's great. But the ADAS, it's constantly ping-ponging between lanes. And I'm like, have you driven a Mercedes with ADAS? Have you driven a Tesla with ADAS? Have you driven a BMW with ADAS? It's freaking rock solid. You feel safe. You feel comfortable. You feel like it's going to take care of you.
Yes.
But this thing, it's good, but it's not good enough. Why am I ping-ponging all the time between the lanes? All the time, back and forth. Like, if I was a cop behind me, I would pull me over because I thought I'd be drunk.
It's supposed to save you that way. No.
No, but you know what I'm
keep
saying.
You centered.
Like, it's like the tech is still so behind.
Ooh,
and which double frustrates me because, now I can't have a Tesla because Elon. But they still make the best cars. They still make the best tech, at least in North America, unless I go to China and buy a Xiaomi SU7 or something. Or like a Zeekr or like, a Neo or something. Those cars are incredible. But we don't get them here. So we're shooting ourselves in the foot. I feel like, I've mentioned this on the podcast before. I feel like between not getting silicon carbon batteries in our flagship phones in North America, the ones that people can buy at carrier stores, because OnePlus, you can't buy at a carrier store. You have to go to Best Buy. And even then, most people, I don't feel go to Best Buy. They're on a family plan. They go to the Verizon store and, whatever, right?
Yep.
And at the same time, especially with this tariffs and this new regime we have, we're not going to get Chinese cars. And so we're going backwards. We're not evolving, right? And Elon doesn't care about making cars anymore. That's probably a good thing, but at the same time, that means Tesla is stagnating. We're seeing that, like that decontented Model Y they just announced. It's a joke, man. Like, not only is it just $5,000 cheaper, which is really not much, but secondly, it's like so decontented, you're better off buying a used one that's a year old. Like, seriously,
Save your money,
like, the thing with EVs is, first of all, don't buy an EV. Do not
lease
right
it.
now.
Lease
do
it.
not buy an EV. Lease it 100%. Secondly, if you're going to buy one and you insist on owning, which by the way is a very old-fashioned concept because you don't really own your phone. I'm sorry to tell you, your carrier and Apple and Samsung really own your phone because you probably have a subsidy on it, and it's probably locked to that network. In case you didn't know, but like you and I buy our phones unlocked. Maybe my audience buys their phone unlocked, but the reality is, like phones, you don't really own your car. So get with the program, lease it. Like, and if you insist on owning it because you're old-fashioned and understand you can't wrap your head around the new way, buy a used EV. Like, they're amazingly good prices right now. Like, if you have to buy from Tesla, God forbid, buy 1 year, buy 1 year old Model Y or Model 3. Like, the price is like plummeted. You're still getting the latest tech, software updates for months, like, and the best tech you can get in North America. And if you can afford it, go get a Rivian, because it doesn't matter which Rivian to buy, they're all amazing. And even if you don't think you like a pickup truck or SUV, because I'm more of a sports car person, I'm like small, light. I'm not at all the kind of the adventure, outdoorsy, Rivian person, but every time I drive a Rivian, I'm like, these are the best. Like, they're so good.
I love
it. Makes me want to have a pickup truck. Makes me want to have an SUV. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's kind of where we're at. And I'm torn because, back to the software experience, it's really not quite there yet. Like, it's getting there. Like this EV9, like the infotainment, I think is solid, but is it as good as Tesla? Nope. Is the app as good as Tesla? I don't know. The manufacturers don't let me try the app. That's the other thing. Every time we review cars, they don't let us access the app. The only ones who do are Rivian and Lucid right now. Yeah. Like, every time I get a Rivian or a Lucid, they give me the account. Oh, pro tip, if you have a Ford, and I love their
Which
EVs,
I do. I actually have one.
If you have a Ford and you want to use the app and it's never been set up by them yet, all you need is the key, the VIN number, and your smartphone with the Ford Pass app installed. Yep. And you can register it to yourself, which I've done on pretty much every Ford that I've come across. The problem is that if somebody else has already registered it, you cannot register it. There is some hoops to jump. That being said, I always delete the cars from my account afterwards. But even if I delete the car from my account, the next person will have to like call Ford or something. Yeah. But that's the other thing. Call Ford. Like, hello, what is this? 1985? Like, okay, like seriously, on Tesla, you remove a car. You do a factory reset on a car. It's gone from your account. Anybody else can use it. It's like a phone.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how can we not get, again, software, how can we not get this right?
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, most of the cars I don't get to try the app, unfortunately. But all the app, GM, they give me access. So GM, Rivian, and Lucid so far have given me access. Ford, I've taken access, but the Koreans I've never tried. So the problem is that we can't review the cars for you guys, listeners. We can't review the cars for you guys for the app because we don't know. And so, yes, at that point, projection makes more sense because I want to see my text messages and calendar and stuff, right? I want to have access to that stuff. But I feel like it's a crutch, and especially on EVs because you can't do route planning with, you can run a better route planner inside of your CarPlay or Android Auto, but is it as good? Like, unless you have the ODB dongle plugged in, connected to your phone, that's then running a better route planner so it can access the battery capacity and the battery stats and the temperature and the state of charge and all that data, you're not going to get accurate route planning. The only people who do it right now, honestly, for route planning is Tesla, Rivian, Lucid, maybe. I think GM's doing a pretty good job with their route planning. Again, notice something about GM and EVs and route planning is good. Native software that doesn't do projection. They're invested in making their software. I think part of GM's philosophy here is, and I don't want to defend them because, I can understand the perspective for some people say, I want the projection, but they are forcing themselves as a company to make better software because they go like, we have to. We're not giving an alternative to our customer. Right?
It's better for them in the long run.
I think it's better for them in the long run. And I think it's better for consumers in the long run. And I think that's the thing I want you to understand is those of you, first of all, those of you, trust me, I drive enough of these cars every month, every week. You do too. Trust me, you will live perfectly fine without Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Like if you're slightly tech savvy, like this audience who's listening, if that is stopping you from getting a car right now, you're making a massive mistake. Massive. Rivian makes some of the best EVs that you don't have to deal with Elon about, and you don't get CarPlay on Android Auto. And trust me, if you don't want to buy a Rivian because of that, you're wrong. Like, I am sorry. Like, this is not something that should stop you. Okay. That being said, if you're buying like a Kia, Sportage or something, yeah, of course you want CarPlay and Android Auto. Like, I get it. It's fine. You don't need the route planning, all that stuff. Good, go, have fun. That's kind of my take. Man, I have so many opinions. John, you're laughing. I want to hear your thoughts now. Come on, tell me something.
I often think about like you mentioned about like route planning. I've been thinking about some of the the navigation in some cars. I do like how some of the cars have native let's say Android built in. So it makes it a lot easier to work with things like the heads-up display. One thing that I've been using a lot is, yes, the heads-up display for directions, which is great. But then I struggle with like using their built-in navigation systems, whether it's whoever it is, TomTom or some other software.
They're pretty bad. Yeah.
It just kills me. And I think that's why I always lean back to Google Maps. If it has Google Maps natively, great, fantastic.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why Android Automotive is the solution. That's what Polestar and Volvo are running. That's what GM is running. That's what even Honda and Acura are running. That's like so many are running.
Yeah.
Credit to Toyota and Lexus, even though they're not running Android Automotive, they're running Google Maps. So the mapping data and all that stuff is coming from Google.
Yeah.
But 100%. Yeah. I think that you are nailing it. I think that this is a critical thing.
Yeah.
I had somebody ask me recently, like, what do you why do you need infotainment in the car in the first place? What do you
should be distracted, right?
Yeah. Like, exactly. That's what their point was. And they're like, why don't we what do you need more than maps and music? Yeah. And I'm like, I don't. And that's all I do, really. And they're like, why do they call it infotainment then? I'm like, well, because, it does let you, it's a centralized way of getting your settings in your car. And actually, it's kind of interesting. Nissan, I'm about to write a first drive for you for the Nissan Leaf. Ooh. And because it was a great car.
Looks nice.
They've done a phenomenal job. Nice. This is finally a car I can recommend. It's so good. It's so good. But the thing is, it's still like, again, anything that's car settings, like drivetrain type stuff, is in the cluster, the settings. It's not in the infotainment. They still have a weird separation going on there that I don't understand. And I'm like, that's like, you've probably borrowed the Nissan Ariya, right?
Yes.
It's an updated, it's better than that in terms of software. It's much updated. But the Ariya feels like you're running Windows 95 on the infotainment. Yeah. It's terrible.
That's my problem.
And the Japanese in general don't have the greatest software in their cars, in my opinion.
Subaru,
they're probably further behind. The Germans are just overcomplicated and over-decorated. Like, it's Baroque. You look at a Mercedes and you're like,
where do I get
I love
this?
their cars. They're amazing. Yeah. Right? I love their cars. They're amazing cars. Their EVs are great. They're super comfortable. They're super well made. But like, what's up with this crazy software? Like, what? Look, we need an iPad. Brand an iPad with the Mercedes logos and you're done. That's all we need. Like, it needs to respond like an iPad. It needs to just have basic menus like an iPad. Why is it so difficult? I've gotten used to it, and BMW is just as bad. So, I don't know. I'm torn by all this. Give us some Chinese EVs. And for those of you out there who are screaming and shouting at your screen right now, listening or watching and saying, we don't want a center screen. We don't want screens. I'm like, you should get used to that. You'd be surprised, because that's not going away. Yeah. Number one. And number two, I really hate to say, again, maybe it's because I owned Teslas for 8 years, but having that big 15 or 17 or 18 inch display in the middle, phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Like, it's great because the touch points are so big. Like, this problem of not having haptics and having to aim for a setting or a button. It's not a problem when you have a big freaking screen. 12 inches is not enough. Ooh, that's what she said. Anyway, the point is
I feel bad for Slate now.
I know. And I'm 100, to be clear, I'm not saying we should have only one screen like the Model 3 or the Model Y or the X30. Like, I like to have an instrument panel. Ideally, I want a HUD, actually. I want a HUD and a big screen. That's all I want.
Yes.
HUD and big screen. I don't think I even need a front display. Just a HUD and a big screen. But it's just me. Like, if you want all three, great. All three is fine. Yeah. I'm happy with all three as well. But the big screen's not going away because here's the reality. That's where your settings are. That's where everything is. And I'm not anti-button. I want buttons. I want climate buttons. I want volume buttons. I want basic buttons.
Yes.
But there are some things that I feel that are totally vestigial in cars. Like headlight buttons, you don't need them. Like auto, it works, man. Have it in the settings in the menu. Like on the Tesla, it's one tap away. In fact, on the Tesla, as soon as you do the high beam I haven't driven the Teslas that have no stocks, but if you have the stock, and I think on the button on the steering wheel, there's a high beam button. So when you touch the high beam button, you get a menu up. Yeah. It's right on top. It hovers. It stays there for 10 seconds and you can select, you can turn off your lights. You can override. Same with the windshield wipers. On a Tesla, you have a button at the end of the stock that, does a single wipe. The Mercedes has that too, right? And on the new Teslas, it's on the steering wheel. And as soon as you touch that menu, you get that button. You get a menu that pops up. And guess what? At that point, for the 10 seconds that menu is up, the steering wheels change the setting. You don't even need to touch the screen. So you tap it, it pops up. You scroll up and down to the setting you want. You click down, and you're there. Yeah. So it's not. I think those two, like windshield wipers, I can argue that maybe you want to have direct access, but the lights, come on, the lights is vestigial control. Power button, vestigial control. We don't need a power button in EV. Like everybody solved this problem. You just push the freaking brake button, pedal, and you go. Right?
All day, yeah.
I also would say that mirror and steering wheel adjustments, that can be on the touchscreen. How often do you touch that? And if you touch that while you're driving, if you touch them while you're driving, you're a dangerous person. I am sorry to tell you that. Like, yes, you can do it. I've done it. I admit it. But you shouldn't be playing with your mirrors and your steering wheel height while you're driving, okay? Now, your seats are a different story. I think maybe that could be argued that you should be able to change your seats. But I would say that on affordable EVs and affordable cars in general, even ICE cars, why do we even have electric seat controls? Why isn't that on the touchscreen? It would save a ton of money.
Yeah.
Like, how often do you need to adjust your seat? Okay. Yeah. So maybe have a single button on the seat on the side, so that if you can't get in the car because the seat is like really messed up, you don't have to reach for the screen, right? You can like maybe slide it back. It slides it back 6 inches. And then you can sit, and then you get the control. And this is only on cheap cars. I'm not suggesting we do this on nice cars. But this is where I'm going with this. Like you can have minimalism and maximalism at the same time. You just need minimalism in the right places and maximalism in the right places. Yeah. Like I think that, yes, temperature up and down, fan up and down, volume, even the freaking heated seats. I want those because I'm touching those with gloves. Like I don't want that on the touchscreen. Yeah. That's kind of my line. But I don't want a power button. I don't want a light button. I can live with just a very simple menu-based thing for the windshield wipers. Like again, possibly because I'm used to it. But I think that's where we're headed. And I think the controls are going to come back. And you know what Xiaomi's doing on the SU7 is really interesting. You get the car with just a touchscreen and everything's on the touchscreen like a Tesla. Yeah. But you can go to a Xiaomi store, like imagine going to the Apple store and buying like an accessory for like $29.99, right? Mm-hmm. That's a series of buttons that magnetically attaches to the bottom row of your screen, like clunk, and there's like the pogo pins or something back there. Yep. And it stays there then. And then you to remove it, there's a latching mechanism or something. And then you have controls on there. And those controls are completely programmable. Yeah. So you can then assign whatever you want to whatever you want. And it shows them to you on the bottom line of the display. So you know what you've assigned to what, right? Mm-hmm. So Tesla did this. They don't have the physical strip thing, but they did the thing where you can reconfigure the bottom where the temperature and the heated seats, you can put that in any order. You can have any app there. It's like a dock on the Mac, or like in Windows where you have like all your apps at the bottom. And the apps are literally one app is temperature up and down. Like think widgets basically. So that to me that makes sense because then you can actually have physical controls that only you set up the way you want. Yeah. And maybe there's a default, right? Like if you jump in a Xiaomi because you're renting a Xiaomi, maybe by default it comes with the default setup. And it's very clear because it tells you what the buttons are at the bottom. You want buttons? I'm giving you buttons. Yeah. Anyhow, that's kind of all my thoughts. Give me a quick listing of your top 5 cars you've driven this year.
Oh, that's tough. Like I said, you talked about already the EX30, Volvo EX30. It just looks different. It feels different. The minimalism is awesome. Small, super sporty with the acceleration. Love it.
Drives really great. Yeah.
Yep. Of course, Lucid Air. I enjoyed the touring. That panoramic glass front is just breathtaking. It just looks cool. Of course, efficiency is great. Big size front, lots of room, lots of space. I love it. And what else? On the other side, like the more affordable side, I would say probably the Chevy Equinox EV LT. Mm-hmm. Just because it's around, I want to say around 35,000, depending. I'd say the entry level trim. Pretty good efficiency. It's bare bones. You don't get even electronic seats. It's all manual, which is. Yes, I'm blown away. But hey, for people who want, something affordable, that's one I think about.
That's fair. Like Nissan Leaf only has power seats on the driver's side, so
yeah, it's not. Slate is doing none of that. They're doing exactly that. But we'll see how that goes. Yeah. You mentioned Rivian. I love instead of the R1S, I like the R1T, the pickup truck.
Yeah, me too. I like the truck better too.
A lot of utility. It drives great. Fantastic cameras, great ADAS system. It's one of the few that I could say, just drive for me.
Basically.
So yeah. And then what else? Something else that stands out for me.
The Koreans, I guess. They're probably pretty high on your list too.
Yeah, I did drive the EV6 a couple of weeks ago. Love that car. I also drove the GV60, the smaller one. And then the Ioniq 9, which is basically the EV9.
Yeah, they're very similar. Yeah,
very similar. But yeah, they do give a lot of value, I gotta say. They throw in a lot of, features you tend to see in luxury vehicles, but at a little bit more modest price point. We're not talking about $100,000 vehicles here. We're talking about more like $60,000, $70,000 vehicles, maybe 80, depending on which trend. But yeah, that's pretty much rounds it out. And then, I did drive the Cadillac Escalade IQ. I'm not sure if you tested that one out.
Oh, I have. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's totally not what I want and like
no.
It's way too much car. It's massive. Oh my God.
It's so massive. Big. Yeah.
But the range, the comfort, the whole thing is amazing.
Yeah, it had night vision too. I'm not sure if you tried
Yeah,
that out.
it
Night
did,
vision.
yeah.
See in the dark, see the animals.
I saw it I also had it on the Lyric. I've driven all of them right now, the Cadillac. So I've got the Optic, the Vistic. You just had the Vistic yourself. I know you saw your story there.
Yeah.
I have to give GM props for, stumbling into EVs in the early days there. Like, I'm not talking about the Bolt. The Bolt had its battery issues, but the Bolt was a phenomenal car. I'm talking about like in the early days of the Laser, they had all kinds of software issues and stuff. And but Cadillac shares the same tech. Silverado EV. I mean, I like all the electric pickups, whether it's the F-150 Lightning or the Silverado EV or, the GMC one or the Rivian.
Yep.
But for me, it would be the Rivian. But the second for me would be the Silverado EV or the GMC. Whatever it is.
Sierra
EV. Yep. And then the Ford, if you want like a thing that works just like your normal Ford F-150 that takes all the same accessories because it's the same bed and it's the same body, right? And shape. Everything is identical. That would be the one to grab. But for me, I would say EX30, absolutely. Rivians, all of them, but the R1T in particular, the tri-motor. The quad is a little too much.
Yes,
the quad is amazing, but I don't think I need that. Like, honestly, Lucid Air, any flavor. I've driven them all. Pure,
Gravity,
regular. I've driven the Gravity. I'm not the Gravity feels just like an Air, but of course in a different form factor.
Yeah.
But I don't like the ergonomics. The screens are too high and the wheel is down and square. Like I like it more traditional ergonomic driving position, like think Porsche, think Honda, think BMW, companies that really care about ergonomics in their cars. Where every car you get into feels like, if you get in a Porsche, it doesn't matter if you get like in an SUV, a sedan, a 911, a Boxster, you know exactly where everything is going to be. The touch points are the same. You feel like you have the same visibility over the hood, no matter how low the car is, how high, it's all perfect.
Yeah.
Hondas are like that too. It doesn't matter what Honda you're in. It feels like you're in a Honda. Everything, like just perfect ergonomics. BMW comes and goes. I feel generally they do a pretty good job. The problem with BMWs and a lot of German cars in general, I find that the cowl, the part where the windshield meets the hood, is too high. So for me, I like to sit as low as possible always. And so I don't want to sit in a bathtub. I want to have good sight lines on the lowest settings. And Porsche, Honda, Lucid, give me that. But the Gravity doesn't do that. But it's amazing. It's a great car. I've driven all the Airs, so the Grand Touring, the Dream Edition, the Sapphire, like all of them. And they're all amazing. I would say if you're going to buy Lucid right now, and the Air is great. It's good deals, but the Pure is all you need. Rear-wheel drive.
60,000.
It's still fast as stink.
60,
and has all the tech, has all the features, like really great car. Finally for me, okay, so there's the Chinese there, Volvo Polestar. I'm about to drive the Polestar 4 later this month, so I'm actually excited about that. I'm going to write about it for you. But Polestar, I'm a big fan, again, because they say I share a lot of technology with Volvo, but Volvo, I really need them to fix their software. So EX30, then we have Rivian, then we have Lucid, and then I think the Koreans in general, the EGMP cars, all of them are phenomenal. And the one that stands out the most for me is the Ioniq 5N.
Oh, I was going to say 5 or 5N, yes.
5N. Yes. 5N. Oh, such a rocket ship. And the fake gears are so... The sounds. You wouldn't think that that's a thing, but it is such a thing.
Yes.
And now, by the way, I just drove the Kia EV6 GT, the refresh with the NACS port, and it has the fake gears as well, which it didn't have on the first gen. So I shouldn't say first gen, I should say the original because it's a refresh. But so this is where I would be like, but again, GM, we mentioned them and I think they make some really solid stuff. And then finally, I love the Mach-E. It's not the most modern in terms of its tech. Like it still doesn't charge as fast as I'd like. The efficiency is not quite there yet. The heat pump took up a lot of the front space away in the new gen and they put the new shifter on the wheel, like the Teslas and like the GM and like the Lucid and the Rivian which is much better than that round thing they had that was really confusing. But I love that car. It drives really well, especially the Rally and the GT. Phenomenal. So this would be my kind of choices. And then, I will link to the Western Auto Journalist's Best of the Bay. We just drove 14 cars earlier this week. I voted on that, and there's a good mix of EVs and gas, ICE, whatever you want to call hybrids. So I'll share that with everyone.
Nice.
Let's move on to some news item stuff. I want to quickly show the audience here the CMF by Nothing Headphone Pro. And this is really awesome. $100.
Yep.
And these are the black ones. They also sent me these kind of like light blue aqua green ones. And then they sent me these ear cups are like, you can rotate them off. They just snap on basically. They're not magnetic. They have like a little latch. But they sent me red ones as well, which is kind of cool. I just am worried that if it's not black, I'm going to get them dirty. So I kept the black ones on. But as you can see, there's a bunch of physical controls here. Everything is pretty standard. This slider here lets you go from little bass to lots of bass. Kind of an interesting little trick.
Interesting.
You
so
get the
built-in equalizer?
Yeah, basically. But there's an app as well. You can tune it. There's a headphone jack here, like a USB-C port, some buttons for turning on. There's an actual, it's like a mouse scroll wheel for volume, and you can click on it for play pause. So it's really nice. They're very comfortable. They're $100. They have good ANC. They sound great.
Oh, they do have ANC. Wow. It's crazy how affordable.
Oh, yeah. Really good ANC. I flew with them to New York and back. These are honestly the best bang for your buck right now. They're phenomenal. I highly recommend them. I haven't really reviewed them for anyone on paper, but I think you should check them out. If you're looking for an affordable pair of headphones that does everything right, this is it. CMF by Nothing Headphone mini review. Let's talk about the Chinese phone invasion. I'm joking, but this week has been insane. That and Apple, right? So I'm going to quickly go through a few things. So first of all, the Oppo Find X9 is here, right? It is the new flagship from Oppo. It comes in two flavors, a regular and a Pro. Not surprisingly. I want to show you quickly because I just received it and I'm allowed to show you. I can't really tell you too much about the specs and stuff. You can go to GSM Arena and check out the specs that are, expected. What we know for sure is Dimensity 9500, which is MediaTek's highest end chip. We know there's a 200 megapixel telephoto 3x, the rest are 50 megapixel. We know there's a 7,500 milliamp hour battery. I'm going to repeat that, a 7,500 milliamp hour battery that charges at 80 watt wired and 50 watt wireless. The phone is not thicker than normal. It's only like the usual 8 point something millimeters. In fact, I have the specs right here. It is 8.3 millimeters.
Okay.
All right, here it is. I'm going to unbox it quickly for you guys. This is like a special for the Patreons. So, the box is right here. Woohoo. And I'm just going to open it up. And there is the phone under this little divider here that has some paperwork in it. And the phone itself, which doesn't want to come out, which is hilarious. There it is. Somehow this phone doesn't have like a screen. It has a screen protector on it, but it doesn't have like that, like an Apple iPhone where it has that white thing. So check out this crazy camera system. Does that look a lot like the OnePlus leaks?
Because, I don't know what phone you're talking about.
Well, there's leaks of the OnePlus. That's what I'm saying. Yes. Like, we don't have to, see, it says Hasselblad Oppo down there.
Yeah.
So it's very iPhone-like, right? Slap sides, action button instead of the traditional slider here.
Yep.
So this is it. In the box, by the way, there is just no power brick because this, I believe, is a European model they sent me. In Europe, you're not allowed to have a power brick in the box anymore because EU. But here is the box. There's a little A to C adapter here. The cord is just strangely, it's an A to C cord. And I think it's because their chargers, their high-speed chargers are A ports on the charger.
Yeah.
Which is weird, but hey, whatever. So that's it. But the best part is what's coming next, which is that this phone comes with a telephoto cannon.
A what?
That mounts on the back of the phone. Yes. So there is a case that comes with the phone. I'm going to get it out. This is a very nice case right here. So you can see it's one of those aramid fiber, super thin cases. Yep. And then there's an accessory that clamps onto this that lets you mount a lens, like a big Canon, a 10x optical zoom onto your 3x. And I'll show you right here.
Oh, you weren't kidding. It was a bazooka.
Look at that. Yeah. So this is the adapter plate that mounts to that case. Okay. And it obscures all the cameras. It's got like a felt lining on the inside. It obscures all the other cameras. And then you have this thing that lets you mount this stuff on a tripod so that the phone doesn't hold all the weight of the lens. But then it comes with a Canon. It comes with this crazy lens that
10 times
has
optical.
10 times optical zoom. And on the back here has like a bayonet mount and mounts right on the phone. So I got to test all this. I just got it like yesterday morning, and I was at an event for Infineon, my sponsor, all day yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to play with it. But for the Patreons, good stuff's coming. I can't tell you anything else right now because I haven't tried it, and B, I think we have an embargo at least for the specs and the specs they haven't revealed and the reviews and stuff. So, but I'm supposedly allowed to post pictures, so of the phone and of the cameras. So stay tuned for me, giving you a taste of camera action in the next few days. Right? Are you excited about this phone? I mean, you don't generally do Chinese phones, but
yeah, no, it's different. It's like an interchangeable lens system for your phones, which is great. My question would be: does it go over the main camera or does it go over the telephoto?
I think it goes over the telephoto because the telephoto has a 200 megapixel sensor and it's a really, really good telephoto and it gives you a lot of extra res. But at least it's interesting. And here's the thing, this is not new. Like this is something that Xiaomi has been doing with their Ultra phones. Vivo did with their Ultra phones. Others have done the Canon thing before. Mm-hmm. I like them to call them Canons. So yeah, this is cool stuff. There's also a Find X9, which only has 350 megapixel cameras instead of the 200 megapixel telephoto. It has a 50, and it's a smaller screen. The big phone is like a 6.8-ish. The other one's 6.6, I think. But they're both flagships with big batteries. I think the smaller one only has a 7,000 milliamp hour battery. Oh no! And the same fast charging, the same processor, la la la. So that's what's going on with the Oppo. And again, they're expect more from me in the next few weeks on that. As a side note, if you're a OnePlus user right now, you can get your hands on Oxygen OS 16. There are some reviews out there. I believe there's a beta floating around. Like, I'm not the person to install beta software on my phones. Do you do the iPhone beta when it comes out? I don't. Like, no way.
I do.
Oh my God, you're danger. No, I mean,
it's going to explode. No.
Do you have multiple phones or do you use that on your main phone?
I use it on my main phone. I'm a risk taker.
Wow,
what can I say?
That's ballsy, man. See, you're more of an adventurer than I am. I don't like to install beta software on my main phone, only on test phones. And I suppose I have enough iPhones now that I could probably do it in the future. But in the past, because Apple's sending me iPhones now, but before I had to buy them and I only had one, and I wouldn't, chance it because it's my main phone for recording video for everything. Speaking of OnePlus, and Oppo and these flagships, so the Oppo Find X9 Pro that I just showed you is essentially what the OnePlus 15 will be, except we're going to get a 50 megapixel telephoto this is according to rumors. I don't know, but this is what we hear. We're also going to get a big battery, apparently like 73 or something, 100 milliamp hour. But the big difference will be a Snapdragon, right? Like, so this is Dimensity's MediaTek. The OnePlus should be a Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5. But related to that, Realme, another brand in the former BBK Group realm, is making a flagship called the GT8 Pro. And the GT8 Pro is leaking slowly. So we're getting a bunch of stuff. It's definitely coming on October 21st. It has an interchangeable camera pod, meaning that the camera pod can be changed to a circular thing or a square thing. Like the lenses are staying put, but like it's basically a decorative thing that magnetically latches on.
Gotcha.
And and so I think you can 3D print your own kind of thing. It's very cool. But more importantly, spec-wise, this should be almost identical to the OnePlus 15 because it has a Snapdragon as well. But it will have the 200 megapixel telephoto from the Oppo. So it's kind of like a mix and match. And in the past, it's always been like that. Last year's the GT7 Pro was almost a OnePlus 13. It had the only difference, get this, was it had an 8 megapixel ultra wide instead of the 50 or 48 or whatever that the 13 has. That's the only difference. Everything else, it didn't have wireless charging. It was also missing wireless charging. So that's what Realme does. They always, but this year apparently is going to be better than a OnePlus 15. So who knows? Stay tuned for the crazy Realme. And then Vivo, of course, same thing. They came out with the 300 series, which also their flagship. That is also Dimensity 9500. Every year they like the Find X series, at least the Pro and regular, because the Ultras come out later, right? So if Oppo does the Find X9 Ultra, it's going to be coming out later. And then Vivo will do an X300 Ultra as well. Those are always Snapdragon based, but the Pro and regular are always Dimensity based. And so the 300 and 300 Pro are out. They're very similar to the Oppo. The only difference here, so 200 megapixel 3x telephoto as well on the Pro, 50 megapixel regular telephoto 3x on the non-Pro. The only difference is the batteries aren't as big. So I think they're still silicon carbon because they're bigger, but they're not massive. So like looking at the specs right now, 6,000 and 6,500 with 90 watt wired and 40 watt wireless charging. So, still really impressive. But the nice thing is the small one, the X300 is a 6.3 inch screen. So it's more like an iPhone 17. It's a little smaller than that. Yeah.
Out of all them, which one would you get?
Well, I probably the OnePlus once it comes out because I can also buy it here and everything. But no, I think the Oppo is going to be in my pocket for quite a while. Last year's Find X8 Pro was my go-to camera for a long time. And then I switched to the X8 Ultra when it came out, and that was even better. So I mean, the Hasselblad is going away from OnePlus. Now they promised us some really great camera tech, but I'm a little concerned about that, right? The Hasselblad color science, it's really good. So the Vivos I don't get access to. Every now and then they send me their V series, which is like a mid-range, but they haven't sent me their flagships in a long time. I think the last time I had a flagship like the X80, so like it went to X80 to X90 to X100 to X200 to X300. So like I'm 3 or 4 years behind there. So I don't know what the X series is like anymore. But everybody who tests it, like I know Chike has it. I know that a bunch of other creators and journalists we know have access to them. They always rave about them too. But I feel like Oppo's catching up because everybody's doing a 200 megapixel telephoto now. This started with the Vivo X200 last year, and then the Xiaomi 15 Ultra did. So I think this is where we're going, right?
It's just crazy how it's evolved.
Well, for a while there, the Oppo approach was to do 2 telephotos, right? They had 4 50 megapixels in the back, an ultra wide, a main, a 3x, and a 6x, right? Yeah. And so the OnePlus was missing the 6x. But now they're doing that 200 megapixel 3x as a kind of like replacement for the 2. It's interesting. I'm not sure which is better, right? Like that's what I'm actually going to look forward to testing is which is better.
Higher megapixel sensor, more optical range.
Tough.
I
think the Oppos are coming out in globally pretty soon. And I believe they sent me a global model pre-production because it looks like there's a bunch of stuff. Like I said, there's no charge in the box, so it tells me it's a European model. But also there is, there wasn't any kind of like of the finished, the wrapper around the phone, that the white stuff that protects the phones. I don't know why that wasn't there. There's still a screen protector on the screen because all the Chinese phones do that. And then, of course, we need more stuff. So we have a Realme phone that I've been playing with a little bit right here, the Game of Thrones edition. Of the Realme 15 Pro. So this is a mid-range phone, Snapdragon 7 Gen 4 or 7 Plus Gen 4, don't remember. One of these cameras on the back is fake. It's this one. If you look carefully, you can see how it's more flush with the glass and not as dark, the lens, because it doesn't do anything. This phone has 3 50 megapixel cameras. a selfie that's 50, an ultra wide that's 50, and a main with OIS that's 50. That's it. But look at that, Game of Thrones and fake leather. And the theming, I haven't actually played with the theming very much, but it's plastic chassis. Specs are okay. It's not. I've got the regular 15 Pro here. I've played with it quite a bit. It's very nice OLED display, 144 hertz. I think it's 1220p. It's not LTPO, but it's OLED. It's beautiful. It's got slightly curved edges. Processor's fine, storage fine, cameras are okay, except that fake one. Why are they doing that? It's not just on the Game of Thrones, the base model, like the normal.
But why did they have
edition.
that in the first place?
I don't know. This is weird, right? I mean, I always make fun of sticker cams. You remember when everybody's doing the 2 megapixel macros and stuff? Like, I'm always like, But this is literally a sticker cam. Like, it might as well be a sticker. Like, I don't know. Why? But the nice thing about this, it's got a huge battery. I think it's like a 7,000 milliamp hour battery. It's like 80 watt charging or something like that. So I've had like mid-range phones coming out of China, like from Realme, from Xiaomi, from Poco, all have 7,000 milliamp hour battery. That's the default now for mid-range phones that cost $300.
Wow.
And because $300 over there is a mid-range phone. That's the other thing, right? That phone is like $350. Like,
cheap phone for us.
With those specs. Like, it's better than Pixel 9a. It's better than, what I'm saying? Like, in terms of specs. So
nuts.
Yeah, China, crazy stuff. So yeah, that's it. So we got some Realme stuff. We got some Honor. Oh, the robot phone. Did you see that?
I did see it. It looks interesting.
It's coming to MWC. So I thought that was just a concept, but then I read the article and I'm like, no, they're making it and it's coming to MWC. I mean, the video is really campy and silly and goofy because it's like from a perspective of the robot. But basically, the takeaway is this. They're putting a gimbal camera, a prop like an actual arm that retracts out of the phone with a gimbal at the end, like, a DJI Osmo kind of deal. Yeah. They're putting that in a phone. Insane. And I love it. It's wackadoo. Freaking amazing.
Moving parts, though, it makes me so concerned.
Well, of course, but that's remember the
retractable selfie,
yeah, they held up. I mean, look, it's cool.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Is it gonna be breaking? Yes, it might break, especially if you drop it. But I don't know. I think it won't break if you drop it with the camera retracted. But if the camera is extended and you drop it, I think it's gonna be a bad scene.
I just do like that the ability to stabilize the footage, just like the DJI Pocket. Like everyone uses that
and the ability
camera.
to track. Like it's gonna be able to track you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's gonna be really cool. Yeah. So anyway. Honor's got some cool stuff. Moto has finally revealed or launched their Moto X70 Air in China. This is their ultra thin phone. It's 6 millimeters, so it's not as thin as the other two, but it's close.
Pretty big battery, right?
Not bad. 5,800 milliamp hour for a phone that thin. That's what we should have seen in the iPhone Air and in the S25 Edge if they weren't so averse to silicon carbon batteries. And it's kind of annoying, honestly, that they didn't do that. But Moto is going to do it because Moto is Lenovo and Lenovo is Chinese. And so this is going to come out as an Edge 70 in Europe, I believe. That's typically what happens with the X series. So stay tuned for that. And then, of course, Apple. Apple launched the M5 chip, and alongside that, the MacBook Pro M5, the iPad Pro M5, and then upgraded the Vision Pro with an M5 chip. And what's your take on that? I mean, I won't go into much detail. We'll expand a little more next week, but I think that's great. I think Apple's just pushing the envelope on their chips again and again and again. And do I need an iPad with an M5?
Well, if you're like me, gonna edit video on the go, am I gonna
do it on the
tablet?
iPad?
No, I don't do it on the iPad. But MacBook Pro, I probably would if I had a Mac.
No, of course. But the M5 MacBook Pro makes perfect sense to me, especially if the base chip is now almost as fast as the M4 Max or whatever the other M4 higher tier chips are. But wouldn't the M4 be enough on the iPad Pro like it is today, or was yesterday before this M5? I'm not saying do we need pro grade iPad with a good chip. I'm just saying does it need that chip?
That exactly.
Doesn't an M1 iPad do enough?
How much
It's
are
an
you really
iPad.
saving? Yeah, how much are you really gaining the performance gains? Like, when
Like,
I render a video.
efficiency hasn't been an issue on iPads. Like on
Yeah.
Macs, I can see it, but like it's a bit. Now the
Yeah.
the Vision Pro with M5 makes a lot of sense because the original Vision Pro with M1, I believe, right? So it's not. It was a little constrained. So this, the price hasn't changed. It's still, a bad form factor. Face huggers are a bad form factor. I'm sorry. It's all about glasses, in my opinion. But I think that you actually wrote a really good article about how, about the Meta display and driving. I'll link to it. But I think that this M5 chip's interesting to me because so far it looks like it's going to be really quite an improvement of M4. And I wasn't expecting that. I've been expecting incremental steps. And the fact that they're only making a base MacBook Pro with it is really fascinating to me. That obviously they have an M5 Max and M5 Pro whatever chip coming because they're going to refresh the other two, I would presume.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're coming out with that and it's the only Mac that has it so far is fascinating to me. What do you think the strategy is there?
Is it a supply thing? I have no idea.
Could be.
Could be. Good question.
I wonder actually, is that a 3 nanometer or a 2 nanometer chip? Oh, it's 3 nanometers. Says that in the first sentence.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not a 2 nanometer chip, but hey, I'm looking forward to trying that out at some point. I mean, it's not something that Apple's going to send me because I don't generally do the MacBooks and the iPads, but kudos to you. If you're buying a MacBook Pro right now, I always thought that the base M4 was the one to go for because basically you get the better display. Like it's like, you're getting the great battery of the Air, in terms of battery life, but you're getting the better display from the Pro and the ports from the Pro. So, but you're not getting like the price point of the more expensive MacBook Pros. And so I think that if you were about to buy a kind of an entry-level MacBook Pro with an M4 chip, this is going to make it even better. So win all around. There is Project Muhan coming soon. It looks like October 21 is going to be an event for Samsung to launch this thing alongside Google. Again, I know some of you are into this VR headset stuff. The face hugger is what I call it.
No,
I'm not, but I get it.
No.
I get why you are, because maybe you like immersive VR games, or maybe you exercise. There's a whole bunch of people out there that exercise with VR, and it really helps them be fit and happy in their lives. And I don't want to take that away from anyone. However, the thought of, I already sweat just normally wearing the face hugger type headsets. No way would I exercise with that. That's just me. But kudos if you do. And so if you're into XR and VR headsets, yes, Vision Pro M5 and Project Muhan, definitely worth checking out. But not for me. I'm all glasses, all go. I want AR, 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 AR. That's how I want my XR to be. Right?
I agree. I'm all for the glasses. I think that's the future.
Well, I can't wait to see when we get to play with these display Meta Ray-Bans a little more, when they're more attainable and stuff. It'll be interesting. Cool. Well, listen, we should wrap up. John, tell people where they can find you on the internet. Obviously, Tom's Guide, but everything else, like social media handles, all that.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, or X, Threads, at John_C_Velasco, my last name. And yeah, you can find my work on Tom's Guide, where I write about cars, EVs, phones as well, and every now and then the occasional, odd gadget, Meta Ray-Ban display, for example. And yeah, that's it.
Go read John's stuff, folks. It's great stuff. Tom's Guide's a great site. I write there too, so check it out. And you know where to find me on the internet. At Tankgirl, TNKGRL, like the comic book, drop all the vowels. That's my handle pretty much everywhere. I'm mostly on Blue Sky, Threads, and Instagram, but I'm also on X, for better or for worse. I'm also on Mastodon and TikTok, but I put my birth year at the end of my handle because my handle was taken for some reason. So it's TNKGRL69. Yes, you're going to laugh about that, but it's my birth year, okay? Get your mind out of the gutter. Anyway, find me on TikTok as well. And then, the podcast lives at mobiletechpodcast.com. We're on all the major platforms. So if you want to subscribe, if it's your first time here, you can find us on, Apple Podcasts and Google's YouTube Music and Spotify and everywhere. So tell your friends. There's a YouTube channel too, youtube.com/mobiletechpodcast. And on there, you'll find some excerpts of the podcast, bits and pieces that I publish. And then some hands-ons. I just did a hands-on with the Asus Ally, the ROG Xbox version of the Ally that I played with in New York last week. And then, there's also some unboxings in there and some other stuff. So check it out. You know how YouTube works. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, click the bell, comment, let us know in the comments what you think of all this tech. And then finally, if you want to support me, patreon.com/TNKGRL. That's patreon.com/Tankerl. You can get the podcast there, but with extra content, because we always go over time, and so I cut some stuff out from the audio version. You get that extra content, you get it a day in advance every week for $5 a month. So subscription, $5 a month, gives you the podcast every week, a day in advance, and you get extra content. You see us on video, you get to see this crazy Game of Thrones phone and look up close, because you're not just listening, but you're watching. So if you can support me, that'd be awesome. I'd appreciate it. And I also want to thank our sponsor, Infineon. Infineon Technologies is a global semiconductor leader in power systems and IoT. Their team supports digitalization and decarbonization for various systems, including automotive, AI power, and IoT. And John, thanks so much for joining me on all this. So many phones this week. Damn.
Yes.
Crazy.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We'll have you on the show again. And folks, we'll have another show next week, so stay tuned for that. Until then, cheers, everybody.